All right, folks, right out of the gates here, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to show you some Matt Walsh content. And I just want to kind of give a bit of a disclaimer here in that, if you don't want to engage or see this kind of content, I certainly can't blame you. I have this guy muted on Twitter, but, Twitter under Elon Musk is a bloody hellscape, more so than it ever was before. And despite the fact that I have this guy muted, I saw this video on Twitter anyway. So I'm going to go over a bit of what he's saying here. And, don't give these guys much attention. I'm aware of the irony that I'm about to give this some attention and unpack it a little bit. But more so than appealing to a conservative, fascistic audience, which of course is part of what they do, their main bread and butter is the outrage. The reason that this video has 1.3 million views is not 1.3 million views of conservatives watching it because they like this stuff. I can tell you that. I would put good money on the majority of these views by a good stretch is people that would very much disagree with this kind of content, essentially hate watching it or watching it for the extent of understanding where these hateful people are at, because it's unfortunately within their interest to have to do that. So that said, there's the warning. Try not to give these guys clicks and views to the best of your ability, because that's what bolsters their engagement and, keeps the dark money from all the right-wing think tanks and lobby groups and, all that stuff flowing into them, because they're like, hey, look at all this engagement we're getting. Look at all this intention that we gather. And despite the fact that in this the past midterms, leaning into this culture war stuff really didn't get them the results in the U.S. Elections, that midterm elections, just to be specific there, really didn't get them the results that they wanted. And I think it's a losing game, and they're going to realize it's a losing game. But these guys want to get as much money and as much attention out of this as possible before the jig is really up. It's because they're just recycling talking points, like homophobic talking points from like the 80s, 90s, and so forth, and just repackaging it to hate trans people. And then, of course, by extension, gay people in the entire LGBTQ plus community. That's the intent with this, right? Like, I don't know, nor do I really care if Matt Walsh actually believes what he's saying here. I have a bit of doubt about it. Like, I think he knows he's blatantly lying. I think he knows he's being historical. I think these guys are very aware in a lot of ways of what they're doing, but they're so desperate for the attention, the money, and they're just soulless people with no regard for humanity, and they're just going to take what they can out of this and try and reap as much ugly, disgusting benefit as they possibly can. That's the nature of what they do in the scam that they're running.
But there's another point too, and this is something that I want to
There we
say
go.
specifically.
Here, sorry. Let me get that up on the screen. There we go. So yeah, let's go through this video. I haven't watched all of it yet. We'll go through probably not all of it because I really can't stand these people. I can barely stand looking at them. Like, look at this creepy motherfucker. Look at this disgusting person. Like, it just the bad makeup job under the lights. Like, I don't know why does he look orange under his glasses? His monochrome just for men gel, super, like, like, how is he a solid chestnut dark brown all the way around with like no natural highlights or anything like that whatsoever? Like, it's just it's a weird, it's getting uncanny valley vibes. So like, this guy trying to hate on trans people entirely, it's just like, do you see yourself? Anyway, let's go through this video as much as possible, and I'm going to show you that there's no way they're not aware of what they're doing in the kind of hateful clicks that they're hoping to get from your outrage.
But there's another point too, and this is something that I want to say specifically to the trans activists who are now crying and panicking and hysterically ranting about imaginary genocides. I say they're doing that now. They didn't just start doing it now. They've been doing it all along. This is all they ever do.
Well, right now you have laws that have passed and laws that are getting ready to pass in the United States in state legislatures, not on a federal level, but in particularly right-wing states where they have right-wing representatives leading them. You have a slew of bills that are specifically designed to restrict the lives and livelihoods of trans people. So, like, that's just a fact. Facts don't care about your feelings, Matt. But again, I don't think he has much feelings about this either way, other than scoring outrage points and just being fake as hell and wanting you to watch him and be angry. But yeah, like it's just a fact that is happening. And yes, trans people and activists have been sounding the alarms about this. Like, yes, if we allow this to continue, if we don't do something about this, if we don't take this seriously, this is going to get worse. And lo and behold, look, we have actual laws on the books now demonstrating that. So an obvious lie and an obvious divorce from reality right within the first few seconds of this video.
But I want you, if you're in that group, I want you to listen to this part very closely. Please always remember this.
Wait, just before he says it, listen to this closely, because, it's going to require a lot of intellectual fortitude. It really doesn't.
Remember this. You started it. You started it. So I see you on social media and on the news and out marching the street, crying your crocodile tears and claiming that you're being set upon by fascist right-wingers who won't let you just live your lives in peace. What do we ever do to you, you cry? Why are you so angry at us? Well, let me answer that question. You see, the rest of us were living our lives. We were minding our own business. When you came along and demanded that we abandon everything we know about fundamental physical reality for...
So, like, he's got to know. He's got to be aware, right? Like, of the sheer irony of what he's saying, right? Like, you came into our lives and asked us to abandon everything we believe, and it's like literally trans people just want to live their lives. They're not asking anything of you other than to just respect the fact that they exist. This is the same as any sort of civil human rights struggle that we've experienced. When the civil rights movement in the United States was happening, to curb white supremacy and give Black people the proper leg up and respect in society that they deserve, these same talking points were levied against them. Oh, we're going to, allow this culture or these people, these scary people, to take over, and they're going to force us to change the way we do things. If the way you do things is anchored in restricting how other people can live, guess what? That is fascistic. That is a denial of human rights. That is a genocidal way of thinking. And again, like, it's so cut and dry, it's so straightforward in this point that he has to be aware. Like, he has to know, right?
For your sake. That's what you did.
You're like, you guys literally have laws trying to restrict how people live. Literally. And we said it was going to happen, and now it's happening. And this guy has the audacity to come in front of the camera and go, I'm going to literally tell you the opposite in the most sincerest, looking you in the eyes way I possibly can, because it makes him money.
You claim the right to walk into whatever bathroom you want, whatever locker room, whatever sports team. Nobody else has ever had that right. Nobody else has ever had that right to just do whatever they want, go anywhere they want. But you
Nobody else has had the right to go wherever they want. Like, what are you talking about?
wanted it. You came after our children, seeking to suck them into your suicide cult just to make yourselves feel better.
Again, the number one reason any queer person has committed suicide, the number one reason is alienation and not being accepted within greater society. So when you want to talk about a suicide cult and what harms children, denying them their dignity to exist and interact with the world in a way that makes them feel comfortable and alive and isn't affecting you in any material way whatsoever. It's pure 180. Like, take whatever the reality of the situation is, spin it around on its head, and tell you the opposite. That's the entirety of what this is.
You tried to restructure human society to make it affirming to you personally. You wanted to.
What do you think these laws that that these red states are going through right now? What do you think that is designed to do? Exactly what you just accused the trans community of doing. Exactly.
Force the whole world to bend to your narcissism. You tried to put words in our mouths. You tried to control how we speak, even when you're not in the room. Your ego is so out of control that you even tried to take possession of parts of the English language, like you can own them.
That's just bonkers right there, too. Like, take parts of the English language like you can own them. Like, oh, my God. Again, the sheer irony in the right wing talking about, enforcement of language and how people can speak in society. Pure 180. It's all spin. It's all empty spin. None of...
The pet. You waved that hideous, ridiculous flag in our face and wouldn't stop.
I'm sorry. It's a subjective aesthetic point, but the trans flag is way nicer looking than the American flag. Just that's objectively true. Like, there's no way you can look at the American flag and how just like audacious and gross it looks. And then look at the trans flag and its nice 3-panel pastel colors. It's aesthetically way more pleasing. So I don't know what you're talking about ugly flag there. He's just trying like the explicit desire to be inflammatory. Like, it's just seeping through, right? Like, he is trying so hard to get you angry with his like just pure smug, right?
Waving it. You demanded not just tolerance, but celebration. You did all of that. That was you. And now you cry victim because some of us have simply answered no?
You haven't simply answered no. You are literally at the point now where you are promoting and trying to pass laws to restrict the lives of these people. Like the very opposite of the tenets of freedom that you claim to stand for or pretend to stand for. I don't know. Like, it's so obvious that he can't believe what he's saying, right? This is about, getting attention and money and clicks. So anyway, I think I've seen about enough here. I think I've gone through about enough here. A few minutes of this guy at a time is about anything a reasonable person could take. That disgusting fucking face of his. He's nauseating to look at. Like, I'm sorry. Like, is that too mean? Maybe it's my bias coming through or whatever about this guy, but he's just unpleasant and uncharismatic and just pure outrage farming. And it's so lazy and it's so obvious, right? Like, I think these guys are very aware that this culture war thing is not working out for them. And that's why they're kind of continuously doubling down on it and increasing the hateful rhetoric, because they want to take as much as they can while that house is burning down, right? They want to ransack as much as they can, get as much money out of this as they can on their way out. And I think it's becoming more and more apparently obvious that people just don't like this stuff. And that bigotry of this kind is not going to gain you the political wins that you would like to think it does. And and as that becomes more obvious, they're going to kind of like zone in on it harder and harder and harder until they just simply can't anymore. And then they'll shift the outrage to the next thing. And that's what this is. It's so plainly obvious. They got to keep that right wing money rolling in.